Welcome to the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-70 and welcome to sunny, very warm Palm Springs. We are here to do a first drive of the brand new 2025 CX-70, but that video is going to be coming in about a week. Until then, I want to make this video to show you around this car and everything specs-wise, details-wise, interior, and all that you want to know beforehand. Now, let's start off with this car as a broad topic. If you've seen the CX-90, then you'll be familiar with a lot of what's going on here with the CX-70. So if you want to think about it in general terms, this car is essentially a two-row version of that CX-90 that we've seen already. So you'll recognize a lot of the looks of this car. It's the same basic vehicle. They've made a couple changes to the front end, to some of the styling, and of course, it's got a different name. But one other thing that this car does have in common with the CX-90 is powertrain. So let me go ahead and start by popping the hood. Now there are essentially two different powertrains that you can get, but a few different configurations. So this particular model of the CX-90 has the inline six-cylinder turbocharged 3.3 liter gas engine that is also paired to a mild hybrid system. And actually, kind of fun, if you're a car guy and you look around the corner, you'll see a decent sized turbo that's fitted to this inline six. Another interesting thing when you actually look at it is how far back the motor is set on this car. Now, we haven't had a chance to drive this vehicle yet, but talking to the engineers, handling is a big part of what they emphasize with this vehicle, and that certainly seems to fall in line with that. Now, as far as the actual figures go, the base powertrain is going to be a 3.3 liter inline six, and that's going to get you 280 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. All of these cars, no matter the configuration, are going to be all-wheel drive as standard, and they all have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, there is a second version of the 3.3 liter inline six that you can get, and that is going to be the Turbo S model. So it's basically a high output version. And let me see if I can do this as smoothly as our producer Zach did, who's a huge Mazda guy. It was okay, don't you think?
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah, I didn't stumble too much putting that back together. But the Turbo S model of the 3.3 liter is gonna get you 340 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. So if you want the most power you can get out of this car, you'll get that option. But that's also running on premium fuel. Your third basic option and the second major change in as far as the powertrain goes is going to be the plug-in hybrid model. One of the ways that you could distinguish that is that all these inline sixes will say inline six. Of course, the plug-in hybrid is going to tell you that it's a plug-in hybrid. And when you get that PHEV, you'll have a 2.5 liter four-cylinder paired to a 100 kilowatt electric motor, and you have a 17.8 kilowatt hour battery. And you get a couple advantages with that. You don't get quite as much horsepower as you get on this Turbo S. So you're gonna have 323 horsepower as opposed to 340, but you'll still have 369 pound-feet of torque. And Mazda says you can drive as much as 26 miles on all electric, and you'll get 56 mpge. Now, both of these powertrains, whether you get a Turbo S or a standard 3.3, that's going to get you about 25 miles per gallon combined. Still a decent figure. Now, looking at the interior, once again, all of this very similar to what we know from the CX-90. And that's a good thing because this is a sharp interior, good materials, good features, good technology, especially when you have a spec'd out version like what we're sitting in here. Now, there's basically three different trim levels. So first you want to figure out which powertrain you want. Standard 3.3, 3.3 Turbo S or plug-in hybrid. And then from there, you have to pick which trim level you want. Now, the very base is going to be the preferred. And the preferred is only an option on the standard 3.3. Up from there, on any of the powertrain options, you can get a premium or a premium plus. And if you go for a premium, one of the big changes that you'll have is this 12.3-inch instrument cluster in front of you. If you get a base car, you're gonna have a 7-inch screen. So that is an upgrade that you get going from preferred to premium. However, all of these models are going to have Alexa integration, and they'll also have this 12.3-inch infotainment screen in the center. Now, another upgrade that you get going to a premium is a Bose 12-speaker audio system. That's opposed to just a standard 8-speaker system that you'll get on the preferred car. This car gets that extra audio bump. And there's a lot of other features as well. It would take forever to list, but those are some of the main things. And then if you go to the Premium Plus, which is what this car is, you'll also get heated and ventilated front seats instead of just heated seats. You'll also get a heated steering wheel, you get heated rear seats, and you get Napa leather. So it brings the vehicle a lot further up as far as upscale goes. You also have this big panoramic roof here. So all really great features to have. Mazda has done a fantastic job designing this interior. It's appealing to the eyes, it's appealing to the touch. And again, it gives you kind of all the features that you want to see. But again, an important difference with this car versus the CX-90 that we've already had a chance to spend some time with is the fact that it is a 2-row. And this being a 2-row as opposed to a 3-row, it is going to maximize some of the space that you get toward the rear of the car for what you might want to use it for, just carrying around fewer passengers. Few nice things about this. As you can tell, I'm able to recline my seats. On this particular trim, we do have shades, which here in Palm Springs, it's over 90 degrees. It's really hot. And yeah, I don't mind being able to give myself some extra shade, especially with the seat reclined. I've got really pretty decent headroom. I think you'd have to be well over 6 feet to run out. I'm about 5'10". Plenty of leg room, even with the seat set for me to have still plenty of space up front. Got 2 USB-Cs back here. I have my own vents, which is fantastic. If this car was running, I would have my own AC, which I would love. One thing I don't need on a day like today are these heated seats that we mentioned earlier, and of course my own climate controls back here. So it is a well-equipped rear seat that we can use as passengers. If you're an adult and you need to go on a road trip, you're not going to be suffering in the back of this car. Power lift gate, and this is one of the areas in which the CX-70 excels. So one of the things that Mazda has done, which shows a touch of confidence, is that they've brought some of their competitor cars, and a couple of those have their trunks open, mainly to demonstrate how much space we get here in the back of this CX-70. And they've got a couple, just little display items in the back to demonstrate some of that. But if we look at it completely open, and especially if we hit these switches here to fold down our seats, you'll see just how cavernous this rear cargo compartment is. So with the seats up, you get 39 cubic feet of space. With them down, just over 75 cubic feet of space. And they've also given us some options for cubbies here, which is part of what they can do with this rear area. Since there aren't seats back here, they can give you some extra storage. Now, another important thing to note on this vehicle, if you do plan on towing, you're gonna probably want to go for this inline 6, because the plug-in hybrid has 3,500 pounds of towing, still enough to move around a small trailer. But if you really want to tow the most, then one of these inline 6s will allow you to tow as much as 5,000 pounds. So that will be a big improvement as far as that goes. And finally, I also want to talk about pricing. So one aspect of this that's worth keeping in mind is that trim for trim, this is pretty much the same pricing that you're going to get on the CX-90. But starting with that preferred model, you'll have $41,900 as your base price, including destination. So that's where you start off. And you can spec these vehicles all the way up to around $60,000 if you're going for a high-end Premium Plus plug-in hybrid model. Both the Turbo S and the plug-in hybrid are going to start in the mid-50 range. So if you want to opt for one of the more powerful powertrain options, it is going to cost you a good bit extra. So you'll have to factor that into your decision if you want to spend all that extra money to get some more power with your CX-70. But that is just a general outlook on what this vehicle is before we get a chance to drive it. So in about a week from now, we'll actually have the opportunity to get behind the wheel, tell you everything about what it's like to actually drive this vehicle, have it on the road. So that's all for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next.